Hello and welcome to Pyrford TV Arts, Spring Edition 2017. I'm Tim Matthews. On our programme today, we'll be visiting the former Quake Nightclub in Woking to find out why it'll soon be undergoing a renaissance as it welcomes back live music. And Anne Jones meets Annie Robson, the director of the Ochre Print Studio, and learns why it's such an important Surrey resource for all artists. But we begin with a seasonal poem, with pictures by Celia Rodessa and music by Matt Davis. Stephen Garlick reads from Algernon Swinburne's tragic poem, Atalanta in Caledon.
For winter's rains and ruins are over, and all the season of snows and sins. The days dividing lover and lover, the light that loses, the night that wins. And time remembered is grief forgotten, and frosts are slain, and flowers begotten. And in green underwood and cover, blossom by blossom, the spring begins.
Actor and broadcaster Stephen Garlick was reading from Swinburne's Atalanta in Caledon, a poem which Swinburne himself described as a tragedy, but has all the exuberance of a spring poem, written in 1865. Pictures by Celia Rodessa and specially composed music by Matt Davis. Now, many will remember the heady days of the Quake Nightclub here in Woking, and how the town rang out with sounds of live music. But then it all faded out and became a shell beneath the H.G. Wells building, with only its ghosts to keep it company and remind it of former glories. Well, thanks to the hard work of Elaine McGinty and a band of volunteers, the Quake is making a comeback. Renamed the Fiery Bird, with its 1,000 people capacity, it'll soon quake with live bands again. Anne Jones went to meet Elaine at Guildford at a Fiery Bird fundraiser.
We've done a crowdfund campaign and raised $5,700. We've got some money towards the sound system. We're constantly fundraising, so tonight is an album launch of our band and we're using it to raise money. So all the money from tonight is going to the venue. And obviously we're all sitting down and writing funding bids, which is maybe not so glamorous, but you know, the boxes need ticking. So we're trying to bring in all sorts of things so that people feel that it's their venue, because that was the point after all.
Now, you had to leave the Phoenix Culture Centre, but it wasn't always the ideal venue in any case. You always wanted to move to something that was a bit more purpose-built. So can you tell me a little bit why you've moved to the Fiery Bird and what the centre is like?
Yeah, I mean, the Phoenix Culture Centre was a small shop that a landlord offered us as a stopgap, almost as an action hub, really, to plan, because the project was always about getting a large venue. So we've kind of gone from this tiny shop, and now we've been offered a 1,000-capacity nightclub. And in both cases, we're making the best and compromising things to make it work. So for a large nightclub, it doesn't necessarily suit all the groups, but that's where we're focusing on making it as accessible and inclusive as possible for the short time we're there. And it's another step, really, because in the long term, what we want is a really good venue for Woking that suits everybody, where everyone's welcome. We can have training workshops in there and lots going on. So this is another step towards that, because what we want is something that's like a heritage for our children and grandchildren, that is a building that's made by the people of Woking that really reflects all of us, because we are diverse, but it's always worked really well. It's been a town where it's worked really well and it deserves celebrating. So really this is another step on that journey. Fiery Bird, as we're renaming it, is actually the Quake Nightclub. So it's a 1,000-capacity nightclub. It's part of the H.G. Wells complex, and it's part of the Big Apple as well. And that's about 2 minutes from Woking station. It's got a hotel attached, there's a car park opposite, so it's ideally placed for people travelling in, as well as people coming into the town. And we wanted it because it's great that the town's regenerated. We want to make sure that everybody gets included in that. And sometimes the most marginalised people get left out, and we wanted to put a stake in the ground to hold a space for everybody.
When do you think the new venue will be ready for you to actually be putting on gigs, workshops?
Well, we were told that the small venue was going, somebody wanted it last year, and because we were given it as a sort of something to do while we were waiting, we are still waiting for the lease from the council. Any day that should come, and as soon as that happens, we're going to get in and get the work done. And we're not going to do too much work on the space, just to make it a proper live music venue. And we've already got a fundraising gig booked on the 21st of April. And we've been very lucky. Some national bands put that together. We didn't, they offered. So we got Eddie and the Hot Rods, Department S, Ed Tempole Tudor, and we're supporting as well. So that's going to be a fundraiser as well. But we want to get in as soon as possible, and we're waiting, expecting the lease any day now.
We can hear some music in the background at the moment, but perhaps you can tell me a little bit more about what's being done this evening.
Tonight is the album launch for our second album. It's called Humanity Lands. We were so busy with the venue, and we generally are, that we don't really get time to promote or do anything for our band. So we didn't do an album launch for our first album. But today we thought, well, we need to raise money for the venue. So we've been doing, as I said earlier, various different things. And so we thought, well, let's make our album launch. So all the door money is going towards the Fiery Bird project. And it's in a place where we've been here before. It's a friendly venue. We know that the crowd are friendly faces. So really that's it. And it's just to get the next lot of our songs out there, and then we can move on. And hopefully in a few days we'll be getting the lease. So we've done this, and then we can get back to on the venue thing again.
Girl on the beach, she just sits there forever and ever. Girl on the beach, and people take photos of her. Girl on the beach.
Anne Jones was talking to Elaine McGinty about the Fiery Bird project here in Woking, and we'll be featuring a track from that new album, Phoenix Croy, at the end of the programme. Lockwood Arts Limited is a community of practising artists who work collaboratively with the Lockwood Day Centre to provide inclusive and accessible art practice to children, to young people, adults and people with learning disabilities in Guildford and the surrounding areas. We sent our own practising artist, Anne Jones, to the Ochre Print Studio, which is based at the Lockwood Centre in Slyfield, to learn about printmaking and to meet the director, Annie Robson.
Originally there were a group of artists here called Lockwood Artists, and there's a glass studio, a ceramic studio and a digital suite as well. Then there are other activities that are run by Surrey Choices, and they're all sort of mixed together in studios next to each other, like dancing and stage work, and there are a huge range of activities happening here. We have some good success stories of people who've come in from a non-fine art background who are now working as artist printmakers and earning money and exhibiting. We have two artists in residence at the moment. We've got Mai Asawa and Georgie Jeffries, and they're both from very different backgrounds, so they bring their own talents to the studio. One of them is very good at, Mai is very good at etching and drawing, and Georgie is a textile artist.
So Sarah here is doing some screen printing using one of our vacuum presses. So we've got 4 different vacuum presses. She's mounted her screen into the frame, and she's got her paper underneath so she can lower it and print with her ink. And then she's also registering her print, so if she's got more than one layer, or just to make sure that it's always in the same place each time to print. And the vacuum sucks the paper down so that it doesn't move around when she's printing.
So we use these press to print. We normally use plates, which you work on the plate first. Either you scratch lines, you put the stuff on, or you scrape it, carve it, and make the plate. And in order to print the plate, you need to press. This one is our oldest press, which it's my favorite actually.
It's an English machine.
It is made in England, I suppose.
Sometimes we have a very large number of artists from very different parts of the country applying for the residencies. And I think over the years we've sort of felt that it's easier to have people who are a bit more local to, travelling down from London to here is difficult. So at the moment we have 2 artists in residence who live reasonably locally, and that means that they're able to use the studio's facilities Monday to Friday. On a Tuesday we actually expect them to help us in the studio by running the open access sessions. So they do 1 session each, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And this running the open access session actually allows them to learn a lot of the processes and the techniques of running a print studio. It gives them a much wider knowledge. It and hopefully informs their own work, because they're having to give advice to other people and they're learning along the way.
And we have got Sarah here. She's one of artists here at Orca Print Studio, and she's working on her plate at the moment.
So yeah, I'm just doing I've done a dry point etching, and which is scratching into the plate, and I'm just about to print it.
So she has got pressure right already set up. So once you set up the pressure, you can keep it until you finish printing. So she's got all lines inked up. That's a technique called intaglio.
You recently held an exhibition at the Harvey Gallery in Guildford, and this featured the work of your students and your customers. How successful was it?
It was a tremendously successful exhibition, very exciting for our group Ochre Printable. They were really excited to be having a private view at the gallery with the Mayor of Guildford, and it was a really good celebration of disability arts, bringing the artists from Ochre Print Studio, the disability group Ochre Printable, and the Surrey Choices, who actually run the centre that we have our studio in. It's the first time that we've done anything together outside the studio, and it was very successful. We sold a lot of work, and it just it raised our profile, the profile of disability arts in Surrey, and what we do here at Lockwood Centre and Surrey Choices. Absolutely anybody can print. You can start cutting up a potato and dip that into some paint and print with that. Not all the printmaking techniques require the level of equipment that we have in the studio here, but it gives people the opportunity to, if they come to the studio, they have the opportunity to use proper printmaking equipment. So there's a lot of scope for people to explore the possibilities of print within the studio.
Annie, how did you come to printing? What attracted you?
I would have loved to have been a fine artist painter, that would have been my ideal role. But sadly, painting and I didn't get on very well, and I rather like the idea of there being an intervention between the paper and the print, and or if you're mark making. I just like the intervention that you get when you actually have a piece of paper and you're making a mark on that paper. For some reason, I think it's the graphic artist in me just enjoys that sort of difference from actually applying the paint to a canvas. But I've taught screen print for so many years now that actually I'm dying to get back to the etching side.
Anne Jones was talking to Annie Robson, director of the Ochre Print Studio in Slyfield, based in the Lockwood Centre. Well, believe it or not, that's the end of TVR's Spring Edition 2017 here in Pyrford, Surrey. As ever, you can find contact info and all sorts of useful bits of information, not only of our edition today, but also of previous programmes on our website. And if you are new to Pyrford TV Arts, you might like to take a look at some of the programmes we've done in the past in this part of Surrey. Well, thanks to all our contributors today, and of course to you for watching. We'll be back in the summer with the usual eclectic mix of art and creativity. I hope you can join us then. The usual preview will appear just before the full programme uploads to YouTube, Vimeo, and a mobile device near you, it says here. Our play-out music today is a track from Phoenix Croy's new album, Humanity Lands, entitled Sometimes It Happens, featuring the voice of Elaine McGinty. Well, I'm Tim Matthews, and from all of us here in the studio, see you in the summer. Bye-bye now.
I saw it happen. The ghost we sought brought back the devil, and the people fought. And if we never learn, grief and poverty, they